Plea negotiations can be really difficult. Frankly, sometimes they're harder to work out than going to trial and just winning a case, if that's possible. How I negotiate depends on what kind of crime I'm dealing with, what the facts are. It comes down to who I'm dealing with. What courtroom am I in on that day? Meaning, what judge have I got to look at? What officer am I dealing with? What DA am I dealing with? You know, DAs are lawyers. They're like the rest of us. Some are good at what they do, some maybe not so much. Some are very motivated, some aren't very motivated at all. I take a lot of these factors and then try to work it into some kind of a loose system, if you will. You know, I come to court, for example, and I've got a client who's driving with their license revoked, and it's an impaired driving offense. And in Wake County, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to jail, but it does mean the DA's office is going to show the lawyer not much latitude in terms of working something out. But, you know, I know things about how these cases work. You know, I've been doing this for 27 years. In my county, in Wake County and Raleigh, if you don't have an officer with your certified driving record in court, they're not going to get a conviction. Now, it doesn't mean I want to sit down and try the case, but if I have someone who's worked out their stuff with their driver's license, come in with their license, and I look at the DA and I tell them, look, this guy's got his license back. And I may go over to the officer and ask if they have that driving record. The officer goes, no, I don't have the driving record. Then I automatically know, even if I have to have a trial, I'm going to get some difficulty. Well, the state's going to have some difficulty in getting a conviction. So that's when you go back to the DA and you talk with them a bit and say, listen, you know, he's a great guy. He's done his treatment. He just had a hard time. Maybe he had money problems. Maybe he had some personal issues going on, but he's worked through those. So I take all those pieces and kind of put them into a package, if you will, and then show them to the prosecutor and go, listen, I know you can't dismiss the charge, but how about agreeing to a prayer for judgment, which saves your license? Or I don't even want you to agree to a prayer for judgment. Just don't object. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. You know, prosecutors, they have their own things they like and don't like. They have things they can and they can't do. So I try to take the knowledge that I've gained over 27 years and apply them to each individual case. You know, getting a good result often involves also being known for what you do. I often tell a lot of young lawyers that you might be a great negotiator, but at some point your negotiation skills are going to hit a wall. You can amp up your negotiation skills by also having a tough reputation with the DAs as knowing how to try a case. Even a case where you may not have much of a chance. Sometimes I've bluffed my way into great pleas because I looked at the DA and said, you can give me what I need or we can sit here for the rest of the court session. Now, some people think, well, that's just a terrible way to do things. Well, that's the way the system works. It's an adversarial system. You know, you've got a right to a trial. Sometimes the trial may not be the best thing for us to do, but if I've got nothing else and I've got a stubborn prosecutor, sometimes that prosecutor's a little less stubborn when they realize, oh, I've got to spend 2 hours of my day on a case where I could just make a couple adjustments of my own and move on to the next case. You know, we've all got schedules. The state's under a lot of pressure to move cases. So sometimes we use that knowledge of the pressure they're under to get them to give us something good in a plea negotiation. It takes a lot of form, a lot of different ways, and it takes a lot of time to develop it. They change in every scenario, they change with every type of case. It helps when you know what you're doing. I've been doing this for 27 years. I know what I'm doing with cases. I know how to try cases. I know when a case needs to be negotiated. So those are the things that we do.